Well, hello viewers. This is my review of the Beretta ARX100 in 5.56. So first and foremost, let's go over the sort of an overview of the gun. This is the Beretta ARX100 chambered in 5.56 millimeters. It comes in this black tactical case. Actually, it comes in a cardboard box with a black tactical case. And let's go ahead and go over it real quick, shall we? So first and foremost, for those of you who don't know, the Beretta ARX100 is Beretta's answer to the Italian military's service rifle, basically. This is their the Italian military's service rifle, albeit with a slightly different barrel length and the fact that it's select fire. It was built, these were developed around the time of the SCAR and a lot of the other, what they call the fourth generation assault rifles. It was designed to employ the latest in ergonomics, the latest in technology that was available for assault rifles, and I got to tell you, it's pretty cool. It's very Italian in its design, and I'll kind of get into that in just a minute here. But for those of you who have ever owned an Italian car or Italian something, they're tremendously stylish. They're beautifully engineered, but they're quirky and sometimes mechanically can be a bit of a challenge. So let's go over it a little bit. First and foremost, one thing I am impressed with Beretta is that they do include this really nice ballistic nylon case with it. And you know, a lot of gun manufacturers these days, you know, you spend a lot of money to acquire their product, and it comes in just a plain cardboard box. And you know, I get it. Everybody's going to use their own whatever, but it is kind of nice for them to throw in a ballistic case to go with your rather expensive rifle. Now, I will tell you, this particular one I purchased very early on. I think I was probably the first guy that I know of to get one. I had pre-ordered this particular rifle through a Beretta law enforcement sales, and I received it very early on in their release of these. I still don't see a lot of them out there. When you go to gun stores and whatnot, the ones that you do see tend to be I see a lot of 22 caliber ones, but this is the real McCoy. This is the 5.56 version, and I've used this gun quite a bit. I've shot it quite a bit, and I will tell you that it is a really cool firearm. Now, there's the inevitable comparison between this rifle and the AR-15, and I'll tell you that it's not an AR-15 flat out. It's a different animal. There are some AR-like items on it, but overall it's unique. And if you're looking for something that is chambered in 5.56 millimeter that is not an AR-15, but you want something a little different, this is definitely one of the ways to go. Now, let's go ahead and go over this from muzzle to buttstock, and I want to talk you through some of the unique items that are on this particular rifle. So first and foremost, it's got a 16-inch cold hammer forged chrome line barrel. It's a sort of a pencil profile. Move that over a little bit. Sort of a pencil profile barrel, very nice, and it has an integrated short piston gas system. So this is a piston operated gun, and one of the really cool parts about this particular gun is you can actually do a barrel change with no tools whatsoever. I'll show you that real quickly right now. So let's go ahead and make sure that the gun is empty, so there's nothing in the chamber. Magazine is empty. I'm going to put the magazine back in here just to help me hold it. But all you have to do in order to get the barrel off is move the action back. There's two little takedown tabs right here and here. Pull down on those, and out comes the barrel. And that's it. That's how you remove the barrel on the ARX100. And that's pretty cool. It comes out completely modular. This is the gas piston on it right here. I just cleaned it and it's still kind of dirty. This is the gas piston right here. And literally, that's as simple as it is. To put the barrel back in the gun, or if you wanted to swap calibers or do whatever, just stand it up. Sorry if this isn't quite in view, but okay. Just one sec. And there you go. Locked back into place. That was a little awkward on camera, guys, but I'm telling you, it's that simple. So, barrel change on this gun is genuinely easy to do. It's great if you're going to use, you know, if you're going to SBR the gun, it makes it real simple. If you want to run it in different calibers, they're allegedly, like all the multicam guns, they're allegedly going to come out with different caliber kits. I haven't seen one yet. It's been 2 years, so we'll leave that. We'll see about that. Has a gas key right here, so you can change the amount of gas that's coming through there if you run the gun suppressed or not. So that's the barrel system. Now from there, we're going to move back a little bit. When you buy the gun, it comes with a monolithic 1913 rail. Comes all the way across the top. It's got Picatinny rails at the 3 and 9 o'clock position, and then it has about a ½ inch of Picatinny rail at the 6 o'clock position. What's unique to this gun is this gun was originally designed to be used with Beretta's grenade launcher, and so it has a proprietary rail system right here that has a cover over it. When you first buy it, it just has a slick cover on it. You pop that cover off, and you have to order this 1913 rail from Beretta. Again, that's the one thing that kind of disappointed me. It would have been nice if, I don't know if they just included it or whatever, but you know, it was an additional, call it $35 or something for this piece of Picatinny rail. I liked it didn't really bother me that it didn't have it, but I wanted to run a foregrip on there, so I went ahead and ordered it. And I will tell you that ergonomically it feels right. The gun is a little nose heavy because all the metal bits are out in front here and everything back here is polymer. And we'll talk about that in just a sec. So I just wanted something that I could get a little bit more purchase on when I shoot it. I put a Surefire LED light on there. This obviously didn't come with it. Let's talk a little bit about the front sights now, the flip-up sights. It has flip-up front and rear sights. They are unique to Beretta, and this is one of those things, again, when we talk about sort of the difference between Italian rifle and other things. So push a button and they flip up. They are rather chunky, as you can see. One of the advertised things about them is that they will not break if you hit something. Well, if you have a steel sight, and a Troy battle sight, and you hit something, it's not going to break either. So I don't know if that's necessarily. I think that may have been some marketing hooey that came up with it when they designed it. But overall, they're kind of big and chunky, but they work pretty well. It's an AR front sight post. It does have some ears on here to protect the sight post. They are polymer, so they're very lightweight, and they come off real easy. If you don't like them, you literally just use the tip of a bullet on this one little pin right here, and they come off. So no real tools necessary. One unique aspect of it is the rear sight, though. So the rear sight is unique in that it has these different apertures for distance right there. So from 100 to 500 meters, you can just flip. You can just turn that wheel, and it will change the setting for the rear sight to match that distance. Again, very Italian, very kind of cool. I don't know whether or not you're going to use it. I don't know, but it's definitely different. So again, the rail on top is monolithic. I will tell you, some of the very early ones, including mine. Let's see if you can see it right there. You see that pin right there? There's a little pin right there. When I purchased this rifle, it did not have that pin in it. And what happened was the 1913 rail that was on top just had a little tiny bit of movement, a little tiny bit of wobble to it. They had altered the top rail from the military spec gun slightly. The original flip-ups, these original flip-up sights were not mounted to the rail. They were actually mounted to the receiver, and then the rail started just in front and behind the front and rear sights. When they designed the ARX100, they made the rail come all the way through, which, from what I understand, the newer ARX160s, the mil-spec version, has gone to this design too. Anyway, there was just a little bit of play in there. Now, allegedly, there was no change in the gun's accuracy, and whether or not that's true or not, I don't know, but it was enough movement that you would notice it, especially when you mounted an optic to it. I found out that what Beretta was doing is if you wrote them a letter, they would send you that pin. There was the hole, everything was already there. You put the pin in there, and it absolutely is rock solid now. So, problem solved. And the gun is very accurate. I've shot it out to well in excess of 100 yards, pardon me, 100 meters, and have had absolutely no trouble with the accuracy on the gun. So whether it was a perceived problem or a real problem, it isn't a problem. So anyway, on this particular one, I've put a Aimpoint patrol rifle optic on there. It is co-witnessed to the iron sights, and I like the setup. The Italian military uses an Aimpoint. I think they use an M4, Comp M4 on their battle rifles, but it seems to work very, very nicely on the gun. The sight picture and everything is perfect for the height of the comb on the buttstock, and we'll go over that in just a second because, again, the buttstock is unique to these rifles as well. All right, moving back to the buttstock. So this is a pretty neat buttstock. First and foremost, it is a side folder, so it can collapse in on itself, and it makes the gun a very, very tidy package. It also has an adjustable length of pull, and it is really nice. It's a well-made piece. There's a little bit of play. There's a little bit of play when it's out in its maximum setting, but not bad. But overall, the stock is very, very solid. It locks up tight. Just the back part of it's got a little bit of play to it. But overall, I really like the stock. It's a nice design. Again, Italians do it a little bit differently, and overall, the design is unique to, it's not an AR stock or anything like that, but it shoots comfortably and it feels good to the shoulder. So overall, I like it. So one of the really unique parts about the ARX100 is the fact, and guys, I apologize because I'm sick and tired of hearing this term, but it is a completely ambidextrous gun. Now, with that being said, and I gotta tell you, I don't know what this huge focus is on ambidextrous guns, because this one has some very cool features, but whether or not you'll ever use them, I don't know. And I guess you're paying for technology that you may or may not use, and that's one of the things that I kind of struggle with just a little bit. But let's talk about it. So all of the controls on the gun can work either on the left or right hand side. So whether you're left or right handed shooter, you have the ability to configure the gun with no tools and in the field. So that's one of the big differences, and it's one of the only weapons that I know of that is truly serviceable left or right handed on the go. So for instance, you can take a Tavor and make it left or right handed, but it requires a different bolt, it requires some disassembly, it requires some changes in the setup of the gun. And once it's set up for a left or right-handed shooter, you can't just hand it off to another, an opposite-handed shooter and have them pick it up and go. You'd have to undo the changes. So one of the truly unique parts about this gun are the fact that it can be changed from left to right-handed on the go. And let me show you how. So first things first is the charging handles right here. The charging handle can be flipped from left to right with no tools whatsoever. Now, I will tell you, it is a bit of a faff because the charging handle is very small, as you can see. I'll show that to you. Charging handle is very small. There's not a lot of real estate on there, and it's kind of a bear to get to. If you see that indentation right there, what you would do is you can release the bolt. One sec, let me see if I can do this for you guys. I don't want to. So you release the bolt to that indent. Sorry, it's going to be too difficult to do it on camera. Anyway, what you can do is release the bolt to that indent. You're going to pop it out, and you can push the this charging handle through to the other side. So the charging handle can be worked both left or right hand side. Now, one advantage to this is in your manual of arms. So if you're an AK guy and you like charging it on the right hand side, great, you can do that. If you want to charge it from the left hand side because you feel real strongly that you want to leave your trigger finger on the, or your strong hand on the weapon the whole time, and you want to manipulate all the controls with your weak hand, fine, no problem. You can do it either way. Whatever way makes you more comfortable, you can set it up to do. So that is a really cool feature. Now, most other guns that are ambidextrous, it takes about 2 seconds. You can pop the charging handle off, insert it on the other side. That's one thing that, this particular feature, the drawback on this one is the fact that the charging handle is so small and so compromised because it has to be able to fit through the gap that's provided. And that's the one thing I guess I don't particularly like about this setup. Unlike, let's say, the FN Scar, where you can have a big old hunkin' charging handle on there because you're going to remove it and pop it in on the other side, or the SIG 556XI, you can remove the charging handle and you can put it in on the other side, and it has the same effect, but you don't have the compromise of the small charging handle. Now, what this gun does do that is truly unique is you can change the side that the spent shell casing ejects, and that is pretty cool. So there's a little tiny hole back here. Show that to you. See it right there. And using the tip of a bullet, if you push it to the left, the gun will eject out the left side. Push it to the right, the bullet will eject to the right side. Now, I know you guys are thinking, well, holy cow, that's unique. How does it do that? Well, one of the ways it does it is the fact, you see that hole? When the breech is open, it's open on both sides, completely open on both sides. So it can eject from either side of the gun. That is a truly unique feature of the Beretta ARX series rifle. And I will tell you that it is pretty cool. So, it takes literally 1 second to do. All you've got to do is push this little tab, it just clicks over. And the first time I tried it, I was pretty impressed. The gun ejects rounds at about a 45-degree angle. There's a brass catcher on both sides of the receiver, and the brass shoots out about 45 degrees, and just messing with it, sure enough, it works every single time. And that is truly a benefit. So if you do have a lefty shooter that you hand this rifle off to, they can make that change in literally a matter of a second or two, and be able to shoot the gun without being showered with brass in their face. It also helps. I was shooting at a particular gun range where I was showering the person next to me with brass, and I was able to just switch it over, and it was then kicking it off into the grass. So again, that is a truly unique feature of the gun, and it's one of the things I got to hand to Beretta. That particular design aspect of it is really, really cool. So from there, you've got your selector lever. The selector on this gun is AR style. It is ambi, obviously, on both sides of the gun. Some of the other things that are truly unique to the gun is the bolt stop. Now, I will tell you, for those of you who are used to an AR style bolt release, once you use the bolt release on this gun, you'll wish they all came with it. You see this control right in front of the trigger, right there? It's on both sides of the gun, there and there. And there's also a button right there that releases the bolt. So when you put a new magazine in it, you insert a new magazine, all you have to do is with your trigger finger is just manipulate that down, and the bolt slams home. And I will tell you guys, that is a really, really cool feature. or you can, when you insert the magazine, you can actually use your thumb on this bottom piece to lock the bolt. So kind of a cool control right there. The manual of arms on it is unique. So you know, again, it's truly ambidextrous, so you can release the bolt on both sides. So that's kind of neat. The button on the bottom is designed to help you lock the bolt back if there's no magazine in the gun, or again, you can just use your finger on that to lock you know, press it up or press this button on the bottom, and it'll lock the magazine back, or lock the bolt back. So very, very cool. So let's talk a little bit about the gun. You'll notice I have a little bit of I have a rubber grip here on the pistol grip. So the pistol grip is not removable. It's actually molded into the lower. And I will tell you that one of the things that I didn't like about it is the pistol grip was a little bit small for me. It just didn't have a real good purchase for my hand. And I also didn't like the check ring on it. So I put this grip on there, and that solved that problem. Just give me a little bit more real estate for it, and some slightly different texturing for my soft hands. The other thing about the gun is it does not have conventional sling mounts to it, which is again kind of weird. So you've got sling mounts here, 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 and up on the front of the gun. However, only the one on the front is for a 1-inch sling. All the ones on the back are 3/4 inch, which makes no sense at all. Now, the gun does come with a sling from Beretta that has the proper size ones, but you know, again, it would have been nice for QD mounts, or just at least stick with the standard 1-inch sling aperture so that you can use any normal sling. But again, the Italian, slightly different, whatever. The gun comes with uses most AR magazines. Now I will tell you, because of the shape of the magazine well, it does not use all of them. So I run PMags, Gen 2 PMags. It has to be the one without the over insertion shelf on it. So Gen 2 PMags, any of the standard AR mags, the metal ones, work great. But for me, PMag is probably the best. It matches the gun. They're great performance. They don't cost a whole lot, and I just like the way they. I like the way they fit in the gun. And some of the other things I've got on here, I've got the Magpul vertical foregrip and the hand stop on there, just so that just for when I shoot, it's a little more comfortable for me. It just fits my grip style on the gun. Let's talk a little bit about the trigger. So the trigger on this gun it's a heavy military grade trigger. It's probably about a 10-pound pull on the gun. Probably about a 10-pound pull on the gun. What I will say is the trigger is nice and flat. It is a good trigger to shoot with once you get used to the heavier trigger pull. This gun, as I've shot it over time, the trigger has eased up a little bit. Now I will tell you this: when I first got this gun, and again, this was a very early production gun, so I don't know if they've improved on it, you know, on some of the quirks on this. But when I first got this gun, the fire safety, the selector lever was so tight I could barely turn it. The mag release and the bolt release and bolt catch were so stiff that they barely worked. The magazine release was also tight. As I have put round after round through it and I've manipulated the gun, that has gotten better. So it didn't really smooth out until, let's call it, 1,000 rounds of manipulation, and the gun has really sort of settled in since then. The interesting thing about the gun is, other than the bolt, the barrel, and a few small rail pieces inside the receiver and some springs that are in the trigger pack, there's no metal on this gun. All this is plastic or polymer. So it is really kind of a unique rifle. When you take the barrel assembly out of it and when you field strip the rifle, and take the bolt out of it, it weighs so little you would think it was a toy. And again, that's one of those unique things to the Beretta. But overall, I like it. You know, it's one of those unique rifles that I think will be a bit of a cult classic over time. Again, you don't see a lot of them out there. The ones you do see are oftentimes little .22 caliber toys. This one is the real McCoy. And it does shoot really well. I enjoy shooting the gun. It's beautifully made. As my Italian friends would say, it's bellissima. And I do enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot. So with that, if you have any questions, don't forget, just leave them in the comments section. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends if you like the channel. Hopefully you enjoyed this one, and we will see you guys on the next one.